Hey, what's going on guys, this is AndrewChicken and welcome back to another video. In this one, we'll be ranking the top 5 strongest flanks in Paladins. The flank class is super strong right now, and almost every flank is really good in the right hands. But some flanks are still better than others, and the flanks in this video are dominating the meta in Season 6. As always, this list is just my opinion, so feel free to let me know who you think the best flanks are in the comments section down below. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and get straight into the video. Number 5. Koga. Up first, we have one of the best champions for anyone playing on controller, Koga. Koga is a consistent and reliable flanker who does great damage when making use of aim assist, but his real utility lies in the power of his dash. You see, Koga's dash makes him one of the most survivable flanks in the game because it turns him ethereal, a state that cleanses all negative effects and makes him completely untargetable. This ethereal status makes him one of the easiest flanks to heal and lets him counter a ton of extremely powerful abilities. If Tyra puts her Hunter's Mark on Koga, he can just dash to instantly cleanse it. If Ray puts her Link on him, he can do the same thing. King Bomb, Inara's Stun, Genos' Ray of Doom, Pip's Chicken, and so many more devastating abilities can all be completely negated with a single dash. And every time he dashes, he also cleanses Cauterize, so a skillful healer will have no trouble keeping Koga alive. These dashes also have really consistent uptime when using Adrenaline Junkie, a talent that regenerates energy every time he shoots an enemy. The only thing keeping Koga from ranking higher on this list is that outside of dashes and good damage, he's really not that impressive. While his Dragon stance can be fun to play around with, you can go whole matches without ever switching to that stance if you don't want to. His mobility is right in the middle of the pack, and his ultimate is pretty mediocre outside of the brief damage immunity it grants him. His damage is excellent with aim assist, but controller players can squeeze out crazier amounts of damage from some of the other champions on this list. Despite all of this, Koga is still a really good champion right now on controller who earns the number 5 spot on this list. Number 4. Eevee. Soaring into the number 4 spot we have Eevee, an ice-cold killer with a penchant for destruction. Eevee is the hardest flank in Paladins, but if you can play her well, she's one of the strongest characters in the game. Eevee is renowned for her fast and snappy mobility that lets her dodge around the battlefield with incredible agility. Her Blink and Soar are some of the most effective abilities for dodging damage in the game, and she can also use her Blink to immediately retreat back to safety with a talent Wormhole. And if she can't dodge damage, she can block it through the power of her Ice Block, which grants her total damage and crowd control immunity at the cost of making her stationary and unable to shoot. Eevee also has some of the most powerful cooldown reset cards in the entire game. With the right combination of Killing Frost and Impact, Eevee can get her Soar completely reset after getting a kill, and also reduce the rest of her abilities by 40%. This makes the Winter Witch one of the best snowballing characters in the game, which honestly makes a lot of sense. While Eevee's damage isn't the highest among the flank class, it's very consistent and powerful. She can blast people with explosives from the sky, and consistently kill enemies in around 3 to 4 hits. She has no falloff, so if you're skillful enough to hit shots with her at long range, it's very rewarding. And with the talent Snow Globe, Eevee's ability to secure kills is greatly enhanced. Snow Globe lets Eevee use her ultimate twice as much, giving her consistent access to a massive AoE slow and cripple that also does a good amount of damage. This is some of the most powerful crowd control in the flank class, and is an amazing tool for Eevee to have in her arsenal. Eevee has an extremely potent and devastating kit if you know how to use her. However, she is still the hardest flank in Paladins because she takes a lot of mechanical skill and good game sense, and she also has the smallest health pool in the game. Like all highly mobile champions, Eevee gets shut down pretty hard by champions like Shyvana and Torvald, but she's still capable of dominating lobbies if you're good enough at her, and so she deserves the number 4 spot on this list. Number 3. Lex. Coming in at number 3 is a champion I despise, Lex. Why do I despise him, you might ask? Well, Lex is a cheater's wet dream, as Lex gives you all the tools you need to cheat in this game without even needing to download any illegal software from some illicit website. Let me explain. First and foremost, Lex has the highest damage per second in the flank class when using the talent Discovery. Against his Retribution target, Lex is able to crank out a whopping 1600 damage per second before factoring in headshots, and this damage is extremely easy to pump out when making use of aim assist, since he has a fast-firing hit scan weapon. Lex also gets wall hacks against his Retribution targets, because why not? With the right cards, Lex can also get other buffs like lifesteal and extra movement speed when facing off against his target. If you manage to miss a few shots here and there, don't fret. For a short time, Lex can do all the aiming for you with the press of a button, dealing around 1000 damage for free. That's right, they crammed a high burst, easy to use hit scan weapon, wall hacks, and aim hacks all on the same champion. I'm not sure what the devs were smoking back in 2017, but I sure as hell want some. And to top it all off, Lex has the only area of effect execute in the game. Lex channels the power of all his hacks into his magnums, and unleashes a powerful burst that Lexecutes anyone on his screen below 65% HP. In practice, this is really only reliable for executing 1 or 2 enemies at a time, but it has the potential to get a team wipe under the right circumstances. The only thing keeping Lex's point and hack adventure from ranking higher on this list is that his mobility is pretty average, and he has nothing in the way of survivability. It just goes to show that whenever Lex doesn't cheat, he's mediocre at best. The only good thing he ever did was create Atlas, who was a much better man than Lex before he even discovered what time travel was. And even then, Lex cheats so much that he has me wondering if Atlas was conceived out of wedlock. It's pretty funny how the guy who's literally named The Law gets away with all kinds of illegal shenanigans that would get you banned in other games, but I guess the people who enforce the law are also immune from the law in the magistrate's eyes. Regrettably, Lex earns the number 3 spot on this list, but I'm still holding out for a rework that turns him into a fair and fun champion. Number 2. Talus. In the number 2 spot we have the young Squadron with a lot to prove, Talus. Talus is the Monkey King of the controller meta, with incredibly high hit scan damage and excellent survivability to boot. While using Overcharge, Talus almost ties Lex for the highest DPS in the flank class, powering up to around 1500 DPS with infinite ammo. In some cases, this is actually stronger than the damage Lex is capable of dishing out, since Talus gets this impressive DPS against whoever he wants instead of just one specific target. The thing that really puts Talus in a league above Lex, however, is his teleporter. Talus can put down a teleporter in a safe location away from the enemy team, then charge in and be as aggressive as he wants for a short amount of time before teleporting back to safety. If Talus takes too much damage or needs to dodge a big ult, he can just teleport back before the time expires. Talus basically has a better version of Eevee's wormhole, and it makes him one of the safest champions to play in all of Paladins. Talus' survivability is further bolstered by some of his cards. He can get increased movement speed while his teleporter is active, alongside a plethora of damage reduction and lifesteal benefits that make him really hard to kill the lower he gets. In tandem with his tiny hitbox, Talus can be one super annoying pest to the enemy team. To top it all off, Talus has a pretty strong and unique ultimate. Talus is allowed to choose a target on the enemy team and teleport to them from across the map, dealing 600 damage and setting him up to pump them full of lead with his SMG. This has great synergy with his portal, since once he gets the kill, he can teleport back across the map to safety. Talus doesn't really have any weaknesses apart from somewhat poor poke and no vertical mobility. The strengths of his kit more than make up for those two things he lacks, and he's easily one of the strongest characters in the game at the moment when played on controller. So, Talus earns the title of the best flank on controller, and the second best flank in all of Paladins. Before we see who the best flank in Paladins is, let's take a look at a few honorable mentions. The truth is, most flanks in this game are really good right now, and there are honestly so many flanks I could give an honorable mention to that we could be here for another 20 minutes. As long as you're not playing Caspian or Moji, you're playing a champion with great potential to pop off depending on your input type. With that being said, I'm going to quickly talk about two of the most popular flanks in Paladins, Androxus and Xin. Androxus is the poster boy of Paladins, and he's had quite a bumpy ride over the past year since he got reworked. Last year, Androxus ranked as the second best flank in Paladins, and was extremely overpowered with his new talent Cursed Revolver. Nowadays, he's not quite as strong, but is still a powerful and fun option thanks to the talent that replaced Cursed Revolver, Darkstalker. Darkstalker gives him 3 disjointed dashes instead of his conventional Nether Step, giving him a similar level of mobility to Vatu. In tandem with his drifting passive, Androxus can fly about as much as Drogoz now, which is pretty fun to play. This level of mobility is pretty impressive, but his damage leaves much to be desired. His damage is still hurting from the rework he got last year, and it's nowhere near as strong as many of the flanks we've discussed today. Because of this, Androxus isn't a top tier flank, but he's still a great option to pick up, and still has a lot of potential to make plays if you put the time in to master him. Xin is the dependable cockroach of the flank class, being an all-around solid option that is really tough to kill and consistently pumps out damage. He's a good flank to have in your repertoire, because he's someone you can count on for just about any situation. That said, there's nothing that stands out about Xin apart from his survivability. His mobility is painfully average, and his damage is consistent, but nothing remotely close to what some other flanks can do. His strength comes from his reliability, and he can actually be quite a nuisance when pocketed because he just won't die. So, Xin earns an honorable mention, but not an official ranking on this list. Number 1. Vaatu. In the number 1 spot we have the older, wiser, and more deadly of the two Skadron, Vaatu. Vaatu shows that the Skadron are not to be trifled with and makes House Ico shiver in its boots, because he's got a kit that's almost perfect for a flanker to have. Vaatu is the second most mobile champion in the game after 7, and his mobility is extremely precise, flexible, and dependable. Vaatu can choose his fights better than any other champion with the combination of his ambush and dash, which allows him to teleport directly to an enemy in his sights, dash around them to dodge their damage, then slip away into the darkness to recover. If he needs to bow out of a fight, he almost always has a dash ready to do just that thanks to the talent Enveloping Shadows. Vaatu falls into the subclass of flanks that rely on mobility to stay alive, but unlike champions like Eevee, Maeve, and Seven, Vaatu has the power to sustain quite a few hits before needing to slip away. This is thanks to the plethora of powerful damage reduction and sustain cards he has, which he can consistently make use of at any point throughout the match. Vaatu's dash is also unique because it has inherent damage reduction, so if the enemies are skillful enough to hit him while he's attempting to dodge, they'll be penalized by dealing less damage. It's not very fair nor fun to play against, but it certainly makes Vaatu incredibly strong. Vaatu also has incredible burst potential thanks to his Shadow Bombs. He lacks the high sustained DPS of his younger apprentice, but he makes up for it by deleting a squishy target in 1 second flat. If Vaatu hits 2 sets of kunai and weaves Shadow Bombs in between, he can destroy his victim before they even know what hit them. He can also perform the same combo with his ultimate, which is a really simple and effective tool that's the icing on the cake of this busted character. Vaatu's ultimate lets him charge up a dash that stuns anyone who it passes through, subduing them and making them very easy to kill. This ultimate has extremely good uptime that can be further improved with the right cards, and the damage it does makes it a worthwhile tool even when the enemies buy resilience. Vaatu has a kit that's almost flawless, and it enables him to be the best flank in Paladins when in the hands of a skillful player. The only weakness this character has is that he lacks ranged damage, but this is honestly a very good thing for the health of this character. Anyone who has mobility at or above Vaatu's level should be forced to use that mobility to get in close, not just chip away at enemies from a distance. Because Vaatu's kit is all but perfect and embodies exactly what a flank champion should be, Vaatu earns the title of the best flank in Paladins for Season 6. But anyways, that's going to be the end of the video. Who do you think is the best flank in Paladins? Let me know in the comments section down below. While you're down there, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more content like this from me. You should also check out my Twitch channel and Discord server, both of which are linked in the description. And if you want to support this channel, then consider making your next crystal purchase over at my Nexus by going to nexus.gg/AndrewChicken. But with all that being said, thank you guys for watching, I will see you all next time, peace out.